Okay, well, we want to welcome everyone to this webinar. We're really glad to have so many online listening and everybody tying in. So it's great to have everybody here. My name is Jared Murray. I'm the CEO and founder of Alive Innovations. We are pleased to introduce to you the latest technology that impacts health. And the purpose of this webinar is to give you some information that I think all of you will find very, very beneficial. So we're glad to have everybody on board here today. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Marty Monahan, who's been in practice for over 27 years and has a lot of extensive knowledge on holistic wellness and chiropractic care, and he has seen thousands of clients and had many success stories. So we're very privileged to have him here today, and we want to just welcome Dr. Monahan.
Thanks, Jared. Great to be with you.
So you tell us a little bit about your background and a little bit about your experience with alternative health care and chiropractic care, how it dovetails into one another.
So my father's a chiropractor, and he started a practice in St. Augustine, Florida back in 1975, and I joined the practice in 1990. And I went to Life Chiropractic College in Marietta, Georgia, and have been involved in chiropractic care since then. We opened multiple offices here in Northeast Florida. We currently have an office in St. Augustine, Palatka, and also in Palm Coast. And the reason why I kind of got involved with radionics or with energy medicine is I used to suffer from allergies. Here in Florida there's a pollen problem, and the pine, there's actually more pine trees now than there was when Ponce de Leon founded Florida. And this pollen twice a year really wreaks havoc with folks' allergies. And so I was having an allergy attack, and I went to our doctor that we work with, Dr. Stephen Grable actually, and I said, I need, please do something for me. I'm miserable. I have to go home. I got to stop treating patients. And he said, well, let me make you a remedy. And I said, I need something more than that. Okay. I said, thank you, but come on. And he made me a remedy from a machine, and literally within 10 minutes, my allergies were gone. And from that time, which was about 20 years ago, I have been super impressed with the way homeopathics, as well as after that I received my naturopathic degree, and I've been involved with looking at folks in two realms, one in chiropractic structural and one in the naturopathic realm. So it's been exciting, and I'm very happy to always be learning, and it's very nice to meet people like Jared and some of his team to help me with some of the technology that I need to make my patients better faster.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Monahan. It is great to have you here today. What we've noticed is that a lot of people benefit from doctors like yourself that think outside the box, and that knowledge needs to be shared. One of the things that we try to do here at Alive Innovations is we try to create a network, an environment that allows people to expand their knowledge on alternative health care, as well as trying to really get to the root cause of problems. So I appreciate you being here. And Dr. Monahan has some really good experiences too we're going to share in a little bit. But one of the things that we want to make sure that everybody's aware of is today, as I mentioned, Alive Innovations is going to be introducing you to a new technology. Now, it's not necessarily new, but we're reinventing it. And that has to do with radionics. And we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the radionics, how radionics can benefit your clients and your practice, in getting to the root cause of issues, how it can, it's a great educational tool. We're going to also look at how radionics can help you get your clients better, faster, and show you the impact on there. So, and Dr. Monahan, we're going to let him weigh in and see this go. Just briefly, you've been using now Radionics. We've worked with you a little bit in working in your practice. Just briefly, what's your initial impressions?
Well, the initial impressions are the same initial impressions that my patients see is wow, I didn't know this technology was available. I wish my doctor showed this to me years ago. And so everything from tears of joy, actually, and to tears of, hey, why have I been suffering with this problem for such a long time? We could have done something earlier. Well, these people are looking for the cause of their problem. They don't want to just mask it with a drug. And I'm not here to bash drugs. I think there's a necessary component to that, and I think that we need to have everything in its place. I just think that when my patients see this technology and they see it in action and they see improvements with their thyroid or liver or spleen or brain or cardiovascular system or the musculoskeletal system, it's a trackable thing, and it actually can. As a physician, we are essentially detectives, and so it quickly identifies where in the body is the challenge that we need to address. Not just chasing symptoms, but actually getting to what you say the root cause of the problem, which is critically important. And it's just a time saver. It's something that I've wanted in my practice for a long time. It's where do we start? Well, this is where we start. And so with all my patients, we do this test first, and that identifies us what is the problem that we need to target first, and then go forward secondary and tertiary issues as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much for those comments. So most of you are probably like, well, I don't really know what radionics is. I don't really know what it does. It sounds great. Some of you might be familiar with energy medicine and some properties of it. What we'd like to do right now is I'm going to share with you a video on the history of radionics that we put together. It's very brief, but it shows you some basic principles of why it works the way it does, what the background is with it. So let's turn our attention over for a moment to the video, and then we'll get some impressions.
Physicist Hendrik Rudolf Hertz, father of frequency, began modern science's journey of discovery as frequency relates to human health and function. Hertz found that virtually every life force involved electrical energy at some level. Nikola Tesla discovered that all objects have a resonant frequency, and that by reversing the phase of its wavelength, dramatic changes in behavior could be evoked. For example, he nearly leveled buildings by simply reversing the resonant wavelength of a building's steel beams 180 degrees out of phase. This is the secret of how singers shatter wine glasses. Albert Einstein posited that everything in life is vibration. Royal Robert Reich discovered that by reversing the sin wave of a pathogen, he could kill deadly pathogens in the human body without harming the cells of the body. Dr. Anthony G. Holland of Novobiotronics demonstrated this with the harmless organism Blepharisma. Are other organisms harmed by this? Here's a paramecium being destroyed, and notice another organism swimming around unharmed. Here is an example of leukemia cells being destroyed with the same technology. Ovarian cancer cells can be destroyed as well. The brackets identify cancer cells being destroyed. Here is an example of pancreatic cancer being destroyed. Dr. Max Stanley Chartrand wrote a paper on this technology, specifically pointing to the AO scan as the latest in technology. What makes the AO scan stand out above the rest? It not only can detect abnormalities, but also has a correction mode. Notice what Dr. Chartrand stated about the AO scan. There are no reported risk or side effects from the technologies underlying the AO scan. In addition, it is supported by a plethora of research from peered publications, independent research analysis, and practical experiences on millions of patients throughout the world, including the astronauts at NASA and the Russian cosmonauts. It is used by physicians, chiropractors, naturopaths, etc., in many countries in the world with reported success, and is the only treatment protocol that can be offered remotely. Dr. James Oshman made this frank observation. When we leave energy medicine out of our biomedicine, we miss out on a vast amount of our healing potential. Research into radionics started many years ago, but today we can harness this incredible healing power with the AO scan.
So we just finished watching the history of radionics. What did you think, Doc?
That is truly amazing. I love the fact that there is constructive frequencies and there's destructive frequencies. We saw that with the building and the crystal glass. That and I use that analogy oftentimes with my patients.
Yeah, we had what we've tried to do, and as most of you that are tuning in, is put together a simple video that could be shown to your clients to show them the benefits of radionics and what it does. Now, as we mentioned, the technology actually stemmed over 30 years ago with the Soyuz space station in development of this with 3 biophysicists. And what we've done in conjunction with our other parent company, Energy Development, is we're doing the research on how to improve this technology, and it really has dramatic impact on it. So we see a few questions coming in right now. Is what type of reporting? One of the questions coming in is what type of reporting does the radionics system offer? Well, if most of you are very familiar with point testing and the different reports, and you're looking for imbalances in the body, in literally minutes, we can scan the whole body with a report called the Vitals Report, and we'll show a picture of that, of this Vitals Report. In that Vitals Report, you're able to look at a bird's eye view of everything that's going on in the body, including a full CBC report that we've done back testing on, and ordering thousands of dollars of blood work and comparing it to this. It's as close as we possibly can get using the frequency. What's interesting is in that report, it also has things with bacterial parasites. Doc, what have you noticed with the importance of parasites and bacteria and the things in the report that it brings out?
In the state of Florida, 75% of the folks here have got parasites on autopsy. In fact, MRIs are attenuated out the frequency because they're so prevalent. They don't report all the different parasites that they see with the machine. What's amazing is that these bacterial, viral, Lyme disease, it's prevalent here in the southeastern United States. And a lot of these things don't die because it doesn't freeze here, and so seasonally they're just going to get stronger and stronger. In fact, MRSA and all these other things that are these superbugs, it can identify the specific frequency of the virus or the bacteria, and then it gives us an idea about what's happening. And if we don't treat those things, the body just kind of limps along, and so there's only so much energy the body has. And so one of the first things we look at is there a viral bacterial load, because we can give nutrition and those things are being gobbled up by the other microorganisms, and so we want to make sure that we address that fact head on as soon as possible to start the turnaround of folks for their health.
Is it fair to say that a lot of practitioners don't look at parasitic load as a potential root cause of a problem?
I would say that's a very accurate statement. I think that most practitioners, they look at just symptoms. I'm having this. Okay, take this, and that'll mask the symptom. It's not. This is a wonderful way to get to the exact cause and hit it straight on. It's not skirting around. It's not creating a medication dependent society. This is using harmonics and radionics and homeopathics to directly affect the physical makeup of the body. And there's certain things that have to be done. There's microorganisms as well as nutritional values. If you're trying to rebuild tissue, you need certain raw material, and it'll give you the report. Is there mineral deficiencies? Are there vitamin deficiencies? And so I'm very happy that this is something that can be quickly done, and it's got a huge correlation between blood work and other medical diagnostics.
Thanks for that. I appreciate that, and that's a very good synopsis of it. We got another question that's coming in is how long does it take to run a basic vitals test or a basic scan on somebody? You want to comment to that? You've been using it in practice, so
it's just minutes. It's really just a few minutes to do a very thorough assessment, and it comes out with a 24-page report, ranging from, like I said, with allergies, from nutritional deficiencies, meridian imbalances for folks that are doing acupuncture, which we do acupuncture in our offices. There is the heavy metal toxicities, which can cause neurodegenerative changes, which can cause personality issues, brain dysfunction. You just really have to see the report. We give it to our patients on flash drive, and they take it home. There is then we do what's called the frequency optimization, which is rephasing it 180 degrees as far as the things that are out of balance, and putting that energy back into the body. And then we can show the improvements, and sometimes there is improvement, sometimes there isn't, but there's a starting point.
Yeah. So let's, if we talk about that for a second, we had a question that came in with how does it handle minerals? Does it show let's see, what is it? How does Radionics view and test for vitamins and nutritional supplements?
So the way that it works is that there's a 1 to 9, and 5 is in balance. And so if it's a 1, that's out of balance, and that is a chronically out of balance scenario. So say it's selenium, that means that selenium is like a 1 or a 2. That tells us that this person's been selenium deficient for a long time. But say it was a 9 or an 8, that's more of an acute situation, and that means that just recently they've had a deficiency in selenium. So whatever selenium is used for, whether it's immune system or anything else, the body needs that, and we're constantly replenishing our cells, and so the body goes to the stores of the minerals to rebuild the tissues. And if it doesn't have that, then the quality of the tissue doesn't get rebuilt as good as it could be. So the report's given, and then we make nutritional recommendations, IVs, IV nutritional therapy, customized IV nutritional therapy according to what the report says, and that way we can actually give the body the best outcome possible. Everyone will heal at a certain rate. Well, we want to make sure that rate is as fast as possible, and so we give the body all the ingredients it needs for the recipe of health.
So really what you're doing is you're trying to establish a biochemical balance in the body. Is that a fair assessment?
If you're trying to grow in a petri dish something, you need to make sure that petri dish has all the good stuff that it needs for that organism to survive and thrive. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that the people are thriving, not just surviving, they're just barely surviving, but giving them the best opportunity to express full health.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We had one more question coming in, is how difficult is it to use? I'll just comment to that, and you can weigh in on Dr. Monahan if you'd like. But when we're looking at this, what's interesting is one of the very few devices that can be used actually over the internet as well. We have devices that your clients can purchase, that they can plug into their own computer, even to their own mobile device, and be able to be assessed to a reasonable degree and find out what challenges they might be facing. So it's very easy to use. It's radionics, so it's a type of radio frequency. It's not radiation or anything like that. Doc, you've used it some remotely as well as locally. What's your impression?
Well, first off, I've used other pieces of equipment that were not easy to use and that had a very steep and long learning curve, which means that unless I'm available, the test doesn't get done, and so I'm very happy with the ease of this test as far as the technical way to actually perform the test. It just takes a very short time, and just with just a little bit of communication with the patient. Hey, what are the top 3 things that you're kind of challenged with? We can really come up with a pretty accurate assessment relatively quickly. My daughter, just turned 22. I showed her how to test, and so she's excited about doing this test. And she tested me, and it showed up different challenges that I'm working through. And it was amazing how even somebody of the next generation, the millennials, they got this. She got it faster than me, so it was really nice.
Yeah, what's really interesting is the ease of use. If you've been involved in point testing before, typically you have to have the client there, or you have to have the hair and saliva or urine as well. This has the capability, so it really expands your practice, and I think you can attest to that. You're able to really dial in and invite multiple practitioners. Just a brief story. I had a doctor that contacted me, and he was actually in Las Vegas. His client was in Idaho, and I happened to be up near Green Bay at the time. And he asked, he said, "Can you tie in and help me look at this patient? She's having a really rough time." And so we tied in and looked at it. There were some definite serious issues going on there. And as we were looking at it, we worked in the frequency optimization, which again, like Dr. Monahan mentioned, was very simple to do. The reason we made it simple is because it allows you as a practitioner to spend more time dealing with the client. And actually, this is nothing more than an educational tool to give you some direction in where you might need to go. But we worked on her for about I would say about 35 minutes, and he texted me actually the next morning, and he forwarded a text to me and said, the text said, I'm just going to paraphrase, but says, "I can't believe how much better I slept at night. I feel so much better even after just that that short session that we had." So it does have power, and I think you see the difference in your practice too then.
It is a world of difference than when you are starting from scratch and not really knowing what direction to go. This sets us apart from other practices, and I've been blessed, and we've been blessed, and this is not trying to boast or anything, but we've been voted best chiropractic office 14 years out of the last 15 locally, and so it's because of outcomes, and people are looking for results, and so I am really happy that we can offer this technology in my practice, and I really rather not see folks without doing this test, because I'm just guessing, and I don't like to guess. I like to know exactly what we're looking at.
How expensive would you say it would be to order the blood work and everything that goes in with this test? How expensive would it be to order everything that encompasses this test that's done in about 5 or 6 minutes?
It's funny because about 3 weeks ago I was talking to someone actually at one of the big blood centers. Okay, and we'll say that it starts with the word lab and it ends with something else.
Okay.
So I showed him the report, and I said, what would it cost to run all this? And he said about $8,000 to $10,000.
Wow.
And I said, what if I told you that there is a 85 to 95% accuracy correlation between all the other technologies, MRI, blood work, CAT scan, diagnostic ultrasound, and he was very impressive. He said, I better start selling my stock. He said, and I said that's probably that might be a good idea.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think one of the things, it's not even as much always the price as much it is the time. So let's look at, we got some more questions popping in here on wanting to know more about the system and things like that. So maybe let's just pause for a second and let's watch another video that shows about this cutting edge, the AO Scan's cutting edge technology when it comes to radionics. And we'll play this short video and let you take a look at it.
We would like to demonstrate to you all the features of the AO Scan Digital Body Analyzer. This is the dashboard. Let's examine first the single rad or radionics. This offers customized radionic treatment based on the item that you enter in. For instance, affirmations or specific issues that a person has. Once you enter this, the program generates a custom radionic frequency and a color tone that you broadcast back to the individual. Multiple radionics does the same thing, but you can combine multiple issues that you want to address. If you have a subtle energy imprinter, you can copy or erase frequencies that you have imprinted into a specific product. In the Cepheid database, you can click on these categories and imprint the frequencies into a product. These can help balance out the tones in the body. The Inner Voice product is fabulous. This will help individuals that are in an emotional quagmire and can't seem to get out of it. How does this work? The person records their voice and then the program analyzes their voice and uses frequencies that are far more effective in correcting the challenges. The Vital Scan report establishes the body's baseline to investigate what challenges exist in the body. It scans over 3,000 items in the body, referencing over 80,000 points and analyzing over 250,000 pieces of data that are being broadcast back and forth into the body. The points measured are queried 15 different ways during the test to confirm their accuracy. We will do a time-lapse video to show you the complete scan. This scan is completed in 2.5 minutes. Once the scan is finished, we would want to run a frequency optimization. What this does is creates a custom frequency based on the feedback from the body and then returns the custom frequency back into the body to correct the imbalances that were detected. It also creates the correct duration that is needed. Once this is finished, a 24-page report is produced. The report identifies over 650 areas and they are grouped in the following 47 categories. Allergies and pollen, allergies and sensitivity, amino acids, bacterial diseases, basic physical, blood lipids, blood apolipoproteins, blood other, body reproductive function male, bone and muscle condition, bone growth index, bone mineral density disease, brain nerve, cardiovascular, cerebral vascular, CBC report, Chinese meridians standard, Chinese meridians extraordinary, chakras, collagen index, digestive enzymes, endocrine glands, eye health, fatty acids omega-3, fatty acids omega-6, fatty acids other, fungus, gastrointestinal function, genetics, hormone, mood, sex, sleep, stress, human toxins, immune system, inflammation, oxidation, insulin resistance, kidney function, liver and gallbladder function, lung function, macro minerals, micro minerals, minerals, heavy metals, molds, pancreas, beta cell, pancreas glycemic control, parasites, skin index, thyroid function, viruses, vitamins, coenzymes. How do you read the report? 5 is normal. 4 to 1 is a chronic condition with 1 indicating a critical issue. 6 to 9 is an acute condition, with 9 indicating a critical issue. A red positive indicates an active immune response in the body. Negative is not. There are 2 scans side by side. The previous scan was the original scan we did. The second scan shows what effect the frequency optimization had on the health challenges. When we do not see improvement, that is an area we would want to focus on. Using this report, specifically looking at the amino acids, minerals, vitamins, parasitic load, and even the collagen index, will give you the information needed to identify which nutraceuticals are needed to help the body meet the current challenges and bring everything into balance. Next, the comprehensive analysis allows us to find out how those specific challenges are impacting the glands, organs, tissues, and systems of the body, as well as focusing on where the challenges specifically reside. Once you scan a specific gland, organ, tissue, or system of the body, you click on the database. The database is an encyclopedia of issues that provides us with detailed views and historical analysis on how specific issues or challenges are impacting the tissue that we are currently testing. By testing each item against the database, the system creates a specific optimized frequency that is transmitted back into the body to correct those challenges. Once this is completed, the readout shows what progress has been made to get the body back to normal. You can repeat this process with all of the areas of concern that were identified in the vitals report. Can we see how quickly the AO scan can identify the health concerns of an individual and seek to correct them? That is why Dr. James Oshman said, "When we leave energy medicine out of our biomedicine, we miss out on a vast amount of our healing potential." So don't miss out on the vast amount of healing potential that is at your fingertips.
So we're back. What did you guys think of the video that are online? Does it look like something that you could manage? Dr. Monahan, did you learn anything from the video?
No, I know it all. No, I am very pleased that when there is no change with the frequency optimization, that you really do need to kind of address that specifically, like why did that not change even with the treatment. And so that's when we got to bring on what I call bigger guns, and that's when we got to think about a supplementation, a modality, an IV, something to move that in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we are constantly working on innovating this application, and I am working directly with our team in development to make sure that we have the latest and greatest built into the system, and that the reporting features, we're working on enhancing those. I think it's going to be evolving over the next years to come into something that is much, much bigger than most even realize. We have some questions coming in regarding ease of use. Yes, as you can see, you get basically a whole host of information that you can use. Have you used anything else yet on the system, Doc?
Yes, we've used the RIFE and the FREX capabilities. We looked at the harmonics.
Mm-hmm.
We also obviously use the comprehensive on a regular basis. So there is other technologies that I am looking forward to receiving training on, and that are coming out. The acoustic light wave form is something I'm really intrigued with, and the reason why is because like I was mentioning earlier about there's something like 80% of the ticks here in Florida have got Lyme disease, and so that is an epidemic here, and it's one of those things that we really need to have the tools to identify, is this person been exposed to that. So I'm very pleased that you have multiple pathways of help with this. This is one of the bigger ones that I love to use, but there's other tools that you have as well.
Yeah, I thank you for that. I think you had mentioned it before. He called it the Swiss Army knife of tools. So the AO scan is designed in such a way to look at a lot of different aspects of the body, not only the tissue base, but also the emotional base, and that's where the inner voice comes in. And we're able to basically wash that back and broadcast those tones back to the body and see a dramatic improvement. You mentioned Frex a little bit, like with the acoustic light wave. What's interesting too is the system ties in with, and I think you're getting an acoustic light wave very shortly. We have a new model coming out, and the nice thing about that is it ties in directly with the Frex as well as the vitals analysis, and it's a very high-tech plasma generator that will generate a stronger wave pattern that has been known to disrupt pathogens and challenges that the body and our environment throws at us. So I think you're going to find that. Have you noticed, we've looked at the process in using it. Do you have any experiences of anybody that has had a pretty good response, that happened?
There's literally dozens of what I call miracles, but one just kind of comes to mind. There's a gentleman, his name's Joseph, and just a wonderful man, and he had for 20 years plus this eye condition, and where his eyes were, he actually had to require surgery multiple times, and they're always bloodshot. They always were swollen and always painful, and there was we did the test, and then we within seconds of the frequency optimization, he said he needed a tissue or something because his eye was starting to run, and there was a discharge that came from his eye, and that from that moment on, his vision was better. There's no more redness, there's no more pain. The doctor that was treating him for many years was shocked. He didn't understand how this had this miraculous, spontaneous remission, and so the doctor's actually looking to speak with me about this. But I was he was just sold from that point on, and has been a warrior as far as bringing other patients in.
Didn't you tell me he actually, you had mentioned that he had asked for the tissue while he was here, so something was going on, but I don't think, you said you didn't really put two and two together right away until, did he call like 24 hours later?
Yeah, so the next day he called, and I just thought his eye was running, whatever, and the next day he called, he said, Doc, he said, I looked in the mirror and my eye is totally clear. And it hasn't. This was a few months back, and I've seen him other times besides that, and his eye is fine. So what it really was is that he had this smoldering infection there, which is a couple of different viruses as well as bacteria, and it was eradicated through this technology. And so he just couldn't believe how many tens of thousands of dollars he had spent out of pocket to try to deal with this health challenge. And so that's just one of many. I mean, there's been dramatic reduction in blood pressure, sleeping, quality sleeping, other organ function coming online.
Before we got on, we were just sharing a couple other ones. We were talking about some of the experiences that we have, which were actually very great. I happened to be doing a show where I was demonstrating this at an A4M, an anti-aging conference, and we had a bunch of doctors coming in, and I had one sit down. He asked, well, show me what you got here. He was an optometrist, and so we ran the scan on him, and he showed up for a bacterial infection, nonetheless, in the eye. Okay, this was in St. Louis, in the eye. Okay, great. And he says, look at me. And I looked at him, and he says, do I have anything wrong with my eyes? And I said, I don't see anything. He says, well, that bacteria that your system picked up is an eye bacteria. It's an eye infection. It's a type of an eye infection. So that's obviously wrong. That's obviously wrong. His name was George. What was interesting is I says, well, it's not perfect. We don't find, sometimes it may give a false positive or something like that. But what was very interesting is this was on a Friday, and Sunday he calls me. This was after the conference. I gave him my personal cell number, and he calls me after the conference, and he says, I just want to apologize to you. And I says, what's the matter, George? What happened? He says, well, I told you I didn't have an eye infection, but he says, you know, unbelievable. I woke up this morning, and in the corner of my eye, I had some weeping going on, and it was that exact same bacteria that you were telling me that I had. And this was days prior to that. And I said, really? That was great. I was very relieved to hear that. But the case in point, and he asked, he says, how did you do that? How did you do that? And I said, well, you know, the thing is the system looks for energy signatures in the body. And even though those things are very small, it catches very minute signatures that can develop into larger problems later in life. And since then, he has been an advocate for the technology. He specializes in the eye, but also loves overall wellness. But he has been sold on the technology ever since. And that's a prime example of how it can detect early challenges in the body and give you. Have you seen other things like that as well, Doc?
Yeah. There was an influenza that we picked up with one of my patients, and it was active. Okay, so there was a difference between being active and just being exposed, and it was active. And he said, I feel fine. I said, it's not, you're not out of the race yet. I said, let's see what happens over the next 5 to or so days, and in the next 2 days, within 48 hours, he actually came down with a flu that was 102. And so it is first, what I use as an example of this is first you put your foot on the brake, and then the light comes on. Okay, so there's going to be this ramping up of challenges that you're going to be exposed to that don't have a symptom yet. Okay, so this is detecting things prior to the symptoms. You were telling me also, Jared, about a situation with a cardiologist, and that was this kind of apropos towards this, and I'd like for you to share that with me again.
Yeah, that was interesting. Excuse me. I had an opportunity to work with a doctor, and he was, good friends with a cardiologist, a thoracic surgeon actually, and so I said, sure, I'll talk to him. I'm willing to show him what's going on. And so during the course of the vital scan that you saw, it took about 6 minutes or so. It takes longer to read it over and digest the information than it does to run the report. But during the course of the vitals report, I got down, I says, Doc, I says, does it make any sense? I said, I'm seeing a heart issue here. Does that make sense to you? And he was quiet, and he said, actually, yes, it does. I says, well, are you doing anything for it? And he says, I've done everything I know how to do. And I says, well, have you done what you would tell your patients? And he says, yes, outside of going home and waiting to see what else happens. And we chuckled a little bit. I says, well, that's probably not what you want to do. He says, no, that's not. That's why I want to, I need to know what is going on and why I have these palpitations, because everything looks normal. Everything looks normal, and I can't get to the bottom of it. So we looked at it further. We did an analysis in the video, one of the videos you probably saw, that we can look at detailed analysis of the heart. And what we noticed with using the vitals report and the heart analysis, that he had a deficiency of norepinephrine, as well as a copper deficiency. And I said, let's just take a look at what those two, and I just did a simple Google search, and I said, have you ever heard of this before? If you're low on this, that this could cause that. I said, well, we had that in chemistry in school, but I guess I would have never looked for it had you not said that. So long story short is we did do some metatherapy or frequency optimization on him. And also I recommended, since he didn't have a device, I said, why don't you start taking some specific product, if you choose, to help build the body back up and on the items that it's lacking. So he did that. 10 days, less than 10 days, he notified the doctor that originally referred him to me, and he says, I made a new friend. He said he is indebted to you. He says he hasn't had another episode since he started the therapy. So I guess Dr. Monahan and I were talking about that beforehand, and this is a thoracic surgeon. I applaud the fact that he understands that there are things that are outside of the norm that we need to look at in overall health, and that's really what we're talking about. We're not trying to say that normal medicine is voodoo or anything like that. And any of you that are listening to the webinar today, that is not the case. What we're saying is this is complementary because it needs to work in conjunction with standard medicine practices. Because in this case is a prime example of how we are called in, and you probably, Dr. Monahan, have been called in, asked to look at difficult issues. This is just simply an educational tool that helps give you that ability. So it was a good outcome in that case too. So I appreciate you reminding me to bring that up. We have more questions coming in here though. One here is how affordable is the technology? What do you charge for the testing and things like that? Well, I think before we address those, why don't we get into? We have another video that we want to show you. I know a lot of you have families and businesses you want to get back to, so let's go into that video and show you a little bit about the money side, the financial side of it, to kind of give you an idea and picture yourself in those situations. So let's break for that video for a moment.
How can you incorporate the AO scan into your practice and increase your bottom line? How much revenue can be generated with just one client? The average retail cost of the Vital Scan is $300. Using one of the many additional therapies like Radionics, Inner Voice, or the comprehensive analysis would range from $50 to $150. The average cost of the nutraceuticals that they would need averages around $250. That would mean each customer that you test on the conservative side would net you an additional $600. If you test one customer a day, 5 days a week, in a month, your net revenue would be $12,000. But there's another way to increase your revenue. You can rent time on your server to other practitioners in your area. You would charge them $50 an hour. If 4 practitioners signed up for 10 hours a month, that would be an additional $2,000. What is the cost for the system? Less than what your net profit is on treating just one person. But what if you're just starting out, have bad credit, or don't have the down payment? We have another option. We will use our technology to do hair, saliva, and urine test for you. How does the process work? We provide a link for you to place on your website. Your customer clicks on that and orders a test. We send the kit to them, they send it back, and we email the report to you so you can go over it with them. There's no cost at all to set up this program. You will make $150 per test, and add to that the nutraceuticals that you sell, you could net $400 for each test. 20 tests a month equals $8,000. So whether it's buying the AO scan or just having us handle the hair, saliva, and urine test, we will enable you to harness the power of using Radionics into your practice and increase your bottom line.
All right, we're back with you. What did you guys think online? It's pretty cool, isn't it? It doesn't sound too... We tried to break it down to show you the different modalities that you can do with, if you're interested in purchasing a system as a mini business in a box, so to speak, renting it out to practitioners, or testing directly with the clients, depending on your practice. It's got a lot of flexibility. Dr. Monahan, you've been using it now for a while. How have you been able to incorporate it?
Well, I just use it as an initial tool and then a continuing tool to identify the challenges. But I really got to get that link on my website that reminds me to order those hair saliva analysis. I've appreciated, my patients appreciate it, the staff appreciate it. It definitely has generated more income. for the clinic, and I really love the technology. I like the way it just makes my recommendations stronger received, and the outcomes are better, and that's ultimately what we're looking for, is just the best outcome.
And I think you can probably, I had one doctor that I just sold a system to, and help him train, and that's one thing that we do is we want you to be able to utilize this. So we do offer the initial training and on-site education. If requested, it's a little bit extra for that, but we are there to help make this a tool and as part of your integrated practice. One of the things that he mentioned to me is he actually set up which is kind of a neat idea. I don't know if you ever thought about this, but he set up he says, I'm going to set up a club, and I'm going to have people pay $1,000 a year, and they're going to be able to come in once a month and get scanned, get the frequency optimization, get treatment, or twice a month, I think it was, something like that. But he ended up getting his system, over half of his system paid for in the first 2 weeks that he offered this club to people. And he was even blown away. But I think, what was your reaction as you see the numbers changing in the screen, as you're doing this? What was the reaction of some of the clients that you have coming in?
Well, there's folks been, with even tears of joy that they're so happy that there is improvement, and it's trackable, and it's shown on the report, how it's improving or it's not improving. And so it really is a great tool to say, okay, we are here, and it gives us a roadmap to what we need to do. Where does the body need work? And if we put the body back into balance, then that's the key. That's the whole key. In fact, it was interesting. I was talking to another health practitioner. He said, there's only one disease, and it's called lack of homeostasis. And I said, that actually is true. Everything stems from that. It shouldn't have diarrhea, shouldn't have constipation. It should be normal bowel activity. Hyperthyroid, hypothyroid. Well, it should be normal thyroid. And so when we get back in balance, that's really the key. And so that report does that for us. And so patients love it. They can take it home with them and review it later. Like you said, it was true that the time to do the test is just a few minutes. It actually takes longer to review the test with the patient. So I review, and then I also give them a copy to go home with to show the areas, and they can look up certain viral loads where they might have been exposed to that, or what does this mean. What does this lab test mean? And they can become more in charge and take personal responsibility also for their health as well.
Gotcha. Do you? We have some questions that are rolling in now. Let me just see here. Is it insurance qualified? And how does it interact with insurance? You have any points on that?
We just do a self-pay deal with the test. I'm sure there's a way to get insurance to pay for it, but we don't participate in that.
Yeah, I know that right now it does not have any insurance codes. Those things are always subject to change. But I think you had an interesting point about being insurance dependent, especially in our society today. What was your thoughts on that?
Insurance companies, unfortunately, are being more and more aggressive at asking for money back, and just the paperwork and all the staff that's needed to deal with all the requests and all the information, and just the pure nonsense of it all. It is really nice to be more insurance independent in my mind. Just that people are have got challenges that they're willing to pay for out of pocket, and so I see a lot of my patients just having what's considered catastrophic insurance policies, where there's a major issue, they've got coverage, but saving the difference in the premium and paying for tests like this on a more proactive basis. To stay healthy. A lot of my patients, feel good, and they want to stay feeling good. So they come in as a supportive type deal. They don't wait till there's a problem. They actually say, hey, I feel fantastic.
So you're saying you can market this as a maintenance type product where you can...
Absolutely. There's people that are at the gym that have no physical symptoms, but they want to stay healthy, and we do have a lot of gym members.
Optimize their health.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. We have a lot more questions that are still coming in, but we don't want to keep everybody. What I would encourage you to do is we do have. Would contact our office, and we'd be more than happy to work with a solution to help build a solution for your office. We have different financing methods available. Again, the purpose of this is to encourage you and educate you on radionics. And most of you, if you're starting out in practice or if you have a practice, Dr. Monahan's familiar with the PMAs. We also help practitioners set up what's called PMA. It's a private member association. Very good to have when you're offering different modalities. Not that you have to, but it's a definite option for protection. But regarding the cost of this, we'd be happy to give you an estimate, and we have different specials that run at different times, and we'd be more than happy to get you a quote on what we can do on all the other additional equipment. Now, we just focused on radionics today, but you can always email us at info@aliveinnovations.com. That's and we can get back to you at go ahead, Dr. Monahan.
Yeah, they can also, if they have a specific question that I'd be happy to help them answer, at my email is dr as in Dr. Marty Monahan at yahoo.com.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I didn't want to give it out without your permission, but so he's available. Dr. Monahan is available if any listening have additional questions on how it. But we're just motivated. I think Dr. Monahan, one of the things that I really appreciate about him is he's motivated by helping people feel better. And whether you think you're healthy or you are healthy and want to stay healthy, anti-aging, chronic issues, acute issues, the system has the ability to be a great educational tool to get you dialed into overall well-being. So any other further thoughts, Doctor, that you had?
Jaron, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your company and your support team. Thank you for continuing to put out great pieces of equipment like this. I just really want to say thank you for your time having me here on the show today, and look forward to that happening again in the future. All
right. Well, I appreciate you so much, Doctor. Thanks for being on with us today, and we appreciate the many gifts that you've given us in your knowledge, and we'll leave this now. We appreciate all of you that are joining on today. It's great to see everybody on there, and we hope that we can all talk again. And we'll have the ability to answer more questions maybe at our next webinar. Thanks. Take care.